Well, there you are again. Charlie Greer podcast today. So, Humpday Convo. Perhaps I will have some Humpday Convo. Perhaps, maybe. We'll just leave it at that. Oh, before we do, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, the information's in the description for Cash App. My handle is Charlie Greer Podcast. Let's do this. So, it's Wednesday. Hump Day, if you will. Yeah, brutal day for me. I don't know about y'all, but my goodness, I'm stretch. Yeah, Hump Day stretch. But what was I going to talk about today? Oh yeah, this morning when because I get up at like 5 in the morning, have my coffee and then get ready to go do what I'm going to do. I watch what YouTube will. I subscribe to things and then they'll suggest, hey, so I was watching somebody and they're talking about like some kind of deeper stuff. So I thought I'd talk about started off the day with the my faith, meditation, clearing your mind, self-realization, Kriya Yoga, the Paramahansa Yogananda. I don't know if you're up to that. Google him. But I was lucky and blessed that I found out this knowledge and I applied it to my life. Self-realization. I knew that I needed help. So it was like in 2005 or 6 when I managed this art gallery. It was an art gallery / spa / salon, whatever. The owner had hired these to get sales up this, and this is totally an LA thing to do. The owner had hired some guru self-help person to come in and teach us meditation, which I'd already done some meditation, but they came in and everybody's kind of like snickering, these stylists that work there and estheticians and and I think I was hungover and had a black eye. Anyway, so they came and who is it? Tina. Hello, how you doing, Tina? So they came in, and I think they were there for a couple days, maybe even a week. Like every day we'd have this. So long story short, we started, tipping our toe, dipping our beaks in some meditation, whatever. Then they're trying to teach us the sink dive. I don't know if you've heard about a sink dive. Well, anyways, doing this and these people were not into it. Well, you have to silence your mind and sit there, and I did it. And the strange thing is they knew, the two guru people, and they were a couple. They're like, Charlie, you did, yeah, go, it was awesome. And you literally feel like you go into this, I don't even know how to explain it, this mind space where you're sitting there, but in your mind, you go into this this huge, like never ending kind of peaceful, it's strange, but you have to go through this. Pardon me, hence the reason they call it a sink dive. So that was my first taste of real, like, wait a minute, if I quiet my mind, even when there's all this cackling around, then a friend and a client right about the same time, and I can't believe I didn't know about this earlier, but the Self-Realization Center in LA, there's two. One is on Sunset, one's on Mount Washington and Eagle Rock. And it was started by the Paramahansa Yogananda. He's a guru. He came to America in the 20s. He died in the 50s. Pardon me. So when I first went up, the Self-Realization Center in Eagle Rock, it's amazing. If you're over in LA, make it a place to go. You can even take the train and get off on that. I forgot the name of the exit. Call the monks. They'll come down in an air-conditioned brand new van and take you up there. Because driving to try to find that place, it's a thing. I used to go there all the time, and every once in a while I still get lost. So first time I was taken there, I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I was almost like, I've been here before. What the? I was having this really weird kind of and I'll explain why later, because it was a mixture of we walk around the grounds, you can meditate. They have this library, there's all the ground, and you can't go up to his domain where he lived, at least I think once or twice a year. But they eventually let me go up. So you see his picture, you see the ground, you see what's going on. It's like, how do I know this dude? How this has been surrounded all my life. Well, this is why. Because he was on, everybody was into him. The Beatles, the Paramahansa Yogananda, his face is on Sergeant Pepper. I think it's like the first face on the Sergeant Pepper album. Elvis was into self-realization. He was into the fellowship. He would hang out there all the time. Supposedly, that's one of the only places he could go and be left alone. So there's a story about Elvis actually one night heading there, jumping the fence with a duffel bag full of $1 million cash, trying to, twofold, like give them like thank you, and also, hey, here's a little bit extra cash if you can help me, because you can't, like, no, we can't. And Kriya Yoga, what that is, it's the real yoga. See, yoga is not like this, studio yoga. No, Kriya Yoga, it takes years. You gotta, and don't cheat. You can sign up to do. You sit in these positions and you meditate. There's nothing to do like yoga. American yoga, this is a watered down facsimile of what Kriya Yoga is. And self-realization. Self-realization is realizing within yourself who you are, an eternal spirit, basically. And any religion can be, I thought like you had to be Hindu but no, you can be everything. You can be any religion you can think of. You can be into Kriya Yoga and meditation. So I got way deep in. So I'd recommend starting with reading Paramahansa Yogananda. It's called Autobiography of a Yogi. My God, it'll blow your mind. George Harrison, he used to keep stacks them around and give them out. Steve Jobs did the same thing. It changed my life. I mean, I probably need to reread it again. When I would teach my vocal lessons, I had the Autobiography of a Yogi there, and my deeper clients, if they were serious, I'd say, hey, go read this book. It has nothing to do with music, but it does. But it's deep about, realizing yourself. Everything comes from within. Thoughts create things. Okay. It starts with a thought. If your thoughts are, I don't know, I can't, that's what you're going to get. You have to be, self-loving, and then you'll attract love, and you'll open up your, you got to do a lot of stuff on your own. You got to have faith. But man, you got to be strong. Mentally strong. And I'm telling you guys this as I'm drinking a Bush beer. Hey, but I'll tell you what happened. I cheated. For one, I can't sit in the real yogi thing. You say self-realization. It's self-realization, not fertilization, Tina. So I don't know. I can't get in the yogi. You're supposed to sit this certain way. I can sit cross-legged, but not too long. But you have to like put your ankles over your knee. I can't do that. Never been able to. So I did what was called seated meditation. And they have a meditation room in there at the Self-Realization Center in LA, on the top of Mount Washington. Beautiful place. And I've talked about this like about a year ago on a podcast I did, but I thought I'd revisit it. And I'd go there once or twice a week, maybe more. Sometimes I would and it did help me out. I started doing better in my own life, dealing with things. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, kind of stuff. And I was teaching vocal lessons and singing lessons and dealing with all kinds of personalities. And a lot of times you don't want to bring your ego or your, self-realization, not Tina, where's your mind at? So, but I started cheating. I realized, wait a minute, if I fast, so you got to be careful about fasting and meditation. And if I get myself worked up, so I'd fast, I'd go out in the hot sun in LA and run or walk, or I'd ride this bike, get all sweaty, and sit down and do my meditation. Because at first your mind is racing and chasing. It takes a while to, get into meditation. I get it. To sit there and silence your mind. But I wasn't And I had I'm not going to get too much into it, but they tell you certain things to do, instructional, whatever. And I didn't enroll in because there's a course you can take. I think it takes like 4 years to get right. And I talked to the monks, and then things started. I would do these sync diet, whatever, and then it was it was trippy. So I would talk to the monks because they have monks up there. They're not what you think of. Anyway, and they knew I was. They're like, wait a minute, what level are you at? I'm like, I'm not. They're like, whoa, you need to talk to so and so. Go get another monk, and they're like, hey, you need to stop doing what you're doing because it'll fry your brain. You know, you don't want to. You don't want to mess around with stuff. Because I was fasting. You know, it isn't like some kind of. It just makes sense. You could have a fucking stroke if you're hot, and anyway. And I loved it up there. I'd go up there. You can actually go picnic up there, you know. But they did tell me I would bring my clients, and tell them about. And then they scolded me like, "Hey, man, you're bringing your clients. You're not supposed to. If you're getting paid." I was like, "Well, I mean, they are paying me, but I'm not. They're not paying me to bring them up here. They're just my client." Like, well, we don't any kind of finance. I was like, fine, I won't bring them up here anymore. Because I would bring not that many, but the ones that were serious, that were like old school, ones that had been with me for a while. I would tell them about the self-realization, how it's going to help you with anything you do. They're like, you can't do that. But in the gardens, they have these like concrete benches, like really cool on the side of the mountain there. Hollywood, they'd be doing contracts up there, so they let them do that, but they wouldn't anyway. And one morning I got up there. There's a big gate, and it's surrounded by these huge walls, like iron, and they have the logo. Well, anyway, so I load brass lotuses or whatever, and they have a guard station up there. And I got up there early, and they're like, "Oh," they came out. They're like, "Can you help us?" The monks like, "Move the gate open for the nuns." I'm like, sure. So I thought the nuns would be like a nun, you know what I mean? Like no. So we open up the gates and I hear this noise. I look back and there's mansions all around that they own. The Self-Realization Center owns all these mansions, or people donate it. Who knows? And out from one of the mansions come the nuns, and they were like blue, and they all look like models. I mean, these are beautiful women. I thought it'd be like old nuns. None of that. They come walking by. Hi, like, hey, you know. And it's trippy. It's there are things, people are blessed. There are like holy people, like the Paramahansa Yogananda, when they let me up into his little area and they let me walk through, man, you can feel it, man. I thought, yeah, right. They're telling me, like, look, once you hit, because you have to walk up all these stairs, about halfway you'll start feeling his presence, and then you get up there, you might lose your breath. When you walk through his room, you might. I was like, are you kidding me? I didn't say that, but I was thinking, yeah, right. Sure enough, halfway up the steps, one of the monk that was taking me up goes, "You feel?" I go, "Yeah, what is that?" He goes, "It's just the holiness." There are people that have become saints, and what, huh? People dedicated their life to helping others and religion and this, that, and the other, and conversing with the Lord and God. And I got Mr. and I was shocked at how like frugal it was. He could have lived in all these mansions. He didn't. He lived upstairs, and it was really small, these little rooms. I literally got teary-eyed when I walked through his room. It was just like, what the? It was a thing. I suggest, if you're interested, and maybe look into Kriya Yoga, self-realization, the Paramahansa Yogananda. I don't do it anymore. I used to do walking yoga, because you can. Walking meditation. Meditation is not just sitting there. It's clearing your mind. Sometimes there's aggravation you have to get rid of. Sometimes you got to flush the toilet. You know what I mean? And I'd walk, and sometimes it's beautiful thoughts like, oh, rainbows and lollipops. And then sometimes it's like, you got to clear all that out, man. And I'm grateful that when I was dying in the hospital in 2013, that's what saved me, was my faith and my strength of my mind to know that I could overcome, and I could, It's a thing. I recommend everybody. Frank, what's up? Unresolved crime. How you doing? It's a thing. I would suggest baby steps when you're doing the self-realization. But here's this is another thing. This is one of the reasons why once you start opening your mind to your spirituality and the universe and this, that, and the other, and you start how can I say this? Like you start realizing things, self-realization, then you also see how other people aren't and how people live their lives. And that's why I quit, because I just couldn't deal with, like, you start reading people more. You get spidey senses. I'm grateful to have it, but I was like, man, I can't deal with because everybody embellishes, and everybody, but there's people that are lost. Okay. A lot of them, the majority of people. Oh no, not me. They're successful. They're this, that, and the other. And they just mow through people. And I just couldn't do that. And I did again. I had some strange things when I was cheating, when I was doing hot meditation and fasting, a mixture of not eating for days. I'm talking about. All right. Well, you just start. If you don't eat for 3 days, just drink water. Yeah. See, you and that's why people fast all through ancient times. You want to figure some stuff out, know the truth, fast. Do that if you're strong enough. If you're mentally, it's tough. Just drinking water for 3 days, fuck. And I had to work myself up to that. I'd fast for a day, and then it took me months to get to the. And your spidey senses will pop off, people. It will. Strange. I didn't like it. I was like, you know what? I don't want to know. I like to drink beer and play rock and roll. I'll just keep it at that. You know what I mean? I'll just, I know enough that I don't want to be a holy man. You know what I mean? You have to, it's hard to explain, but can you put it into words? You see the cesspool, which is life. When you're just out there, you see it, but not as when you start really doing your self-realization and working on yourself. Well, you realize people don't work on themselves at all, ever. Unresolved. How you been, Frank? Pardon me. Are you still moving to America, man? Do tell. And how things start happening. Like, I was meditating a lot, going up to the self-realization center. One of the biggest opportunities I ever had as an actor, a friend of mine, her father, I'm going to name names, but her father's like an Oscar winner, and she's in casting. And they were doing a Disney thing. So I ain't going to say them anyway. They it was on Facebook, and this was in 2000. I don't know. Maybe 5-10 years, who knows, 7 years ago. I didn't know anything about it. This director guy, producer guy, had put his feelers out, like, hey, who's the best unknown actor in LA? Because we want to use someone who's good but not known. And then my friend who's in casting, he put it out, these casting people. He said this on Facebook. And so when she mentioned me, it said, hey, somebody mentioned you on Facebook. So when I clicked on it, I saw this whole conversation about me. They're like, yeah, Charlie Greer, he's the best. Charles, my in SAG, Screen Actors Guild. I was like, what the fuck? This is awesome. So he wanted me to read for him in his mansion, which was a stone's throw from the self-realization center. I was like, wow, that is weird. Here I am meditating, thinking all this stuff. And then I'm right around the corner from the self-realization center. I asked him about it. It's like, oh yeah, that weirdo place around the corner where all the people, he didn't. And he was kind of an eccentric. And the audition took forever. They didn't give me anything to read. Just show up. It's kind of mysterious. And I'd never done that. See, the bigger the audition, you don't go to a casting house or you go to their mansion. And he's eccentric. So the first thing he wanted me to do was drink. I was like, well, I don't want to drink. He's like, no. I need to see how you hold your booze. I was like, well, I don't drink when I'm working. I got drink. So they had beer, whatever I wanted. So I drank a few beers, talking. He wanted to convert. He's like, okay, you can hold your booze. Now I need to see you eat. Eat. Yes, eat. He goes, I want to see certain things. I want to see you eat. What? So he brought out salad, pretzels, like certain things, and I ate it. And he goes, okay, you passed that too. And he goes, I'm sorry, but I go crazy when people are eating salad and making noises. Luckily, that's how he was. He's like, we're going to be working together for 6 months to a year. You'll drive me crazy if you eat and make noises. And that's what okay. I passed it. I didn't get it, but then I did get like, yeah, man, if I'm going to be around this guy very close and traveling and stuff, and you eat weird and you can't hold your booze, we don't want to be around someone like that. It makes sense. I guess he dealt with that before. Like, the guy's a great actor, but man, he chooses his mouth open and he drinks, he acts stupid. That's a thing. You got to look at it, take yourself out, think about it. Well, see, yeah, that's his world. You just never know. Where's Charlie? I'm live streaming. I'm YouTubing.
Oh, okay. She was laying up here. She's fine.
You want to be on the podcast?
Huh?
You want to be on the podcast? I'm live right now.
No. I don't have my makeup on.
You don't have your makeup on.
She's with me all the time.
Uh-huh. She loves you.
Yeah, and I love her. Say, we just have a good time. Come on. Go on back.
You don't want to tell the Dutchie Hitler story?
You think that's funny?
I think that's the most hilarious thing. I don't want to know people that if they hear that, they don't think that's funny. I don't want to know them. If they hear that story and they don't think it's funny, I don't want to know who they are. I'm talking conversing.
Oh, well, Dutchie was. I just want.
Well, don't say it unless you want to come down and be on there.
No.
Are you sure? Throw on some makeup and.
I just had a lot of cats.
A lot. Little Dutchie.
And my mom said, "Don't give them my cream. You can give them the milk."
We'll have to tell that story though.
Huh?
We might have to tell that story, or should we? Could we get away with that? Maybe not. Maybe we should just keep it between us.
Well.
Because it's live. I mean, it could be. I'm live right now on YouTube, so
he could be on there.
He could. Yeah, we could be doxxed or something.
Yeah.
Sued. How dare you mention my?
Yeah, I don't want to.
You want to take her up? Hey, hold on. PJ.
No,
whoa. PJ hadn't been on the podcast for a bit. Hold on. Come here, PJ. Come on. Little PJ. Oh my goodness. Here's my dog, PJ. You want to take her with you? There you go. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Dutchie Hitler. But one of these days, I might tell that story. PJ loves you too, Tina. PJ loves everybody. PJ's she thinks she's Farrah Fawcett, but you know what? She needs a bath. I'm gonna have to give her a bath. Do you want to get back online, PJ? No. And little PJ, I've told that story. PJ's from Compton. One of my clients, I was teaching vocal lessons, singing lessons. I was wanting a dog. I went to the Pasadena Pound, and they were all woke, like, well, now it's a process. It's going to cost all this money. We have to interview you over weeks. And I just want to get a dog. Give me one of these dogs. No, they were like, so I was telling my clients, like, hey, about that. Pardon me. And they're like, well, just go on Craigslist, click on the pet section, and just type in free dog. Perhaps I will. And I did. And man, there was so many. PJ was the first ad. Her little picture there. And oh my God, I contacted them. The story was She'd been thrown out of a car. Yeah, so and she had a bum hip. I had to mend her back, and potty train her and all that. So I've had her 11 years. That's another thing. All the wild man running around I've done in LA. I always had a dog. All the years in Hollywood, it was tough finding a place to let you live with a dog, and you had to pay extra deposits and all this stuff. But I grew up with dogs. Pardon me, I'm a country boy from Tennessee. I don't like people that don't like animals, man. That's the thing. And I don't judge people, but man, if you're mean to animals, I don't want to know you. I don't want to be around. And then Mr. Simon, he died in October. Poor Mr. Simon. But yeah, the Paramahansa Yogananda. So many rock bands. I'm talking about in the 60s too, that when all that hippie was popping off, that stuff. He died in the 50s, and his teaching to this day, supposedly Steve Jobs and all the computer, that's how they figured that out. They were using the teachings of a guy, a guru, if you will. And guru means it's not what you think it means. It's guide. That's what that means. They don't go down that path. You might want to go over, that kind of thing. And there's he was a musician. He would make these weird, supposedly Led Zeppelin ripped off the Paramahansa Yogananda. And there's this weird kind of wooden box thing that they would play, and Led Zeppelin used those. And people dedicate, yeah, Tina Turner. See, okay, thank you, Tina Turner. That's another thing I was going to talk about is Tina Turner. Anna or Ann Bullock or whatever, that's her real name. I love Tina Turner. I love that song she sang with that duet with Bryan Adams. What was that called? Anyway, it's been a long day. So Tina Turner passed away. Man, we're losing them all. Tina Turner, queen of rock and roll, if you will. Started with Ike Turner, and then did her thing. I think she was from like Kentucky or somewhere south. Then she moved to St. Louis, and they popped off. Ike and Tina Turner, toured with the Stones, and Ike Turner, he gets a bad rap. It's Only Love. Yes, Lisa. How you doing, Lisa? It's Only Love. That's a great song. Tina Turner, just the emotion in her voice. I mean, this is before auto-tune. You could feel it. Get you. She passed today. Well, bless her heart, man. Let's say a prayer. Pray for Tina Turner. Ann Bullock, I think her name was. Anna Bullock, whatever her real name. Hoed the row for other people. You know what I mean? Like she's laid down the asphalt, the highway for everybody else to pass. She's the one that had to. And there's so many people from St. Louis. St. Louis doesn't get the, Chuck Berry, Tina Turner, Ike Turner, Malcolm X, Red Fox. I mean, on and on and on. And that's sad. And supposedly Tina was bigger in Europe. I think she was living in Switzerland when she passed. She would play huge. She quit playing in America. Why? Because you could play a stadium full of 100,000 people, or come back in in LA or wherever and play to 10,000. Now, just live in Europe. I get it. Believe it or not, I've never went to Europe. there was, I hate to admit it, but like passport problems, and in my love engineer days, we were supposed to play Canada, and we didn't have our we couldn't go because we had gigs, and we were actually stupid enough to tell them. Tina, I lived in Europe for 4 years. Where do you live, Tina? And I have back in the day when my last album came out. I had you lived in Germany, cool. I had people reach out to me in Paris, and what you do, like a guy like me that doesn't have all the funding or whatever to do a tour or to a residency, if you will, was you show up like a week early. I would have to, and they owned a club, and they were gonna let me play for have a residency there. So show up like a week or two or early, and then I would use Parisian fucking musicians. I don't speak French, but they had known my songs. I guess I have fans there or whatever. And so then you rehearse with these Parisians, and then you play your gigs, and then and they had a little apartment above the club that I could stay in, and I tried to, but I had to get a passport and this and that and the other. And I just no, it didn't work out. So I never went to Europe. Because if you have management and agents, well, they'll take care of that for you. Pardon me. And then I'd have to. They weren't going to fly me over. That's another thing either. They weren't going to front me money. I had to get my ass there. So I was just like, well, if I get there, what if it's like a shitty club? And I knew the club. Or I'd heard of it. But you just never know. And then when I reached out to people, they're like, man, that's a bad part of Paris. There's a lot of like drugs and shit going on. I was like, oh man. So I never did it. At Paris, Italy, I never London or anywhere. All these weird places that and then I was supposed to do some art show. Well, I was going to have to ship my art to Japan. In Japan, they asked me to do. I just didn't do it. I don't want, fuck them. Again, I'd had to pay for it to be shipped there, and these big paintings. What? See, I never did it. Again, an underground lowbrow guy like me, there's too many variables. I got to pay. I could make some, but perhaps I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna front me some money. Get shit. But my albums weren't selling that good enough to, fuck. I never had a label in Europe. I had. Here's the thing, like. My music has been bootlegged. That matter of fact, I probably sold more albums over there than I have here, but I don't get any of the money. They just rob you. Back in the day, I got a package in the mail from London, like England, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" My girlfriend at the time was like, "Yeah, what?" I opened it up, and there was no letter. It was just all this packaging, and then like one copy of a compilation album. What a compilation album is, there's like 14 bands, different songs, and then one of my songs had been put on a compilation. And I was like, well, how did they find me, get my address too? Why didn't they even send a letter like, hey, we put you, didn't ask, didn't. And to me, it's just, by then I knew it's promotion. My name's out there, whatever. So I got online, found out the label. Oh, they're a real label. Emailed them and said, hey, let's talk about releasing an album. Never heard from them. Why would you do that? Why would you take my music, put it on a compilation, find me? That's another thing. How did they know where and at the time I was living in like Champaign, Illinois. Like, how did they know? And they never even returned my email. Never even like, huh? See what? I don't get that. See, that's the thing. We could have worked together. But later on, I heard from other bands that were on this. Maybe I lucked out. Nomad 63. Hey, Charlie. Sorry I'm late. No, you're not late. 34 minutes late, but not. Thank you for joining, man. We're just talking about what you missed was the Paramahansa Yogananda. Tina Turner passed. I'm not laughing about Tina Turner, but that I love Tina Turner. Bless her heart. The Bryan Adams duet, "It's Only Love." Yeah, that's what it is. I love that song. The live version, if you Google that or YouTube it, my God, her and Bryan Adams. And Bryan Adams was huge in the 80s. Like he was like as big as Madonna. People forget. And before he was Bryan Adams, he's Canadian. He was a songwriter. He wrote for all these bands. He wrote for Kiss. I think he wrote War Machine, which is nothing like, heavy. Da, dun, da, dun, da, da. That's a Bryan Adams song. You better watch out. I'm a war machine. Bryan Adams wrote that. That's how good of a songwriter he is. He can just take any genre. Like, yeah, I'll do the heavy metal, pop, whatever. Tina Turner. Wonder what he's up to. I also heard that he was like a partier. Like these rock bands, they think. No, they're like Bryan Adams is the wildest of them all. I read a story or heard, I don't know, I forgot where I heard this, but Motley Crue were like, dude, you don't want to party with that guy. He's wild. If Motley Crue says he's too wild, you know how wild he is. Maybe he's mellowed out. Is he even still alive? Who knows? I do not know. But yeah, the Humpday Convo. I was thinking, what else was I going to talk about? Nomad 63 says Yogananda is right up my alley. Unfortunately, I wasn't as fortunate as you to be able to study in Cali, where the original ashram is. Yes, the ashram, the Self-Realization Center, on top of Mount Washington. The one on Sunset is the Celebrity Center. It's right beside the what's being taken over by the Scientologists, but right that Scientology that it's little. The one it's not really an ashram, but I guess it is. The one Self-Realization Center on Sunset. It's by the big hospital. See the Scientologists are buying it all up. They I went to the Sunset one, but it's too small. The one on Mount Washington is the one I went to. And there's a third one. There's one in Bel Air, like the Lake Shrine. There's a lake there. I went to them all, but I always went to the ashram on Mount Washington. Jeff Jones, how you doing? Nomad said, which one did I go to? I went to them all, Nomad. I just would stay. I would go to the one on Mount Washington. It's just beautiful up there, man. There's nothing to do. You could take your lunch and just throw a blanket down and you can see the curve of the earth up there. It's amazing. The Lake Shrine is cool, but it's farther away and it's in that douchey, rich part of town. And some weird stuff happened at the Lake Shrine. Like somebody showed up and poisoned the lake and killed all the fish. So all the fish were floating. This was when I lived there. It was like on the news. People are just weird. People are weird. I suggest looking into because I thought ashram, like growing like ashram, you don't want it's not what you think. Anybody's welcome. Meditation is for everybody. You can be any religion, that's another thing. Meditation and self-realization is not a religion. It's I don't know how you put it. It's just it's like exercise or something. It's to help you out. Nomad 63, lucky you. I am lucky to have realized that self-realization, figure that out. And I needed it too. By then I needed something to calm my mind. A philosophy, yeah. Self-realization is kind of philosophy. Jeff Jones, meditation is awesome. I wish I had more time to do it. Yeah. Yeah. The world we live in. you have to work and you have to this and you go, oh my God, I don't know if people are married and they got kids and they got soccer games, and then by the time they have a little bit of leave alone time, they want to barbecue and just like watch football. I get it. But you gotta make time. You gotta make time to further your mind. To grateful to have this knowledge. So grateful to have the opportunity. See, opportunities. Everybody doesn't get the same opportunities here in America. We are spoiled rotten. We have all these opportunities. It's easy to get like wrapped up in what's it? I don't know, traffic and all this stuff. Nomad 63. If you don't make time, you'll have to meditate when you're dead. Well, see, that's it. Because prayer is kind of a meditation. If you read ancient books, the Bible, whatever it is, it's kind of like silence your mind. It's tough. Just like right now, there's barking dog. I mean, I live in it. We have a bunch of dogs, and the Yogananda talks about this in the autobiography of a yogi. Because in India, there are billions of people. You can't find a quiet spot anywhere, and you have to be able to quiet your mind when all this stuff's going on. Bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, all this music and all these people, trains or whatever it is, it takes a minute. You're going to have to sit there. As soon as you sit down, you got to first clear your mind. Yeah, Nomad. Meditation to me is simply a simple, quiet reflection. Yes. Jeff Jones, I have the feeling that living up to my potential would really cut into my sitting around time. Well, we need sitting around time. Pardon me, it's a balance. You have to. Being lazy is you need that. You need to like sometimes just not do nothing. It's like I was gonna. Yes, the balance, but too much of anything is. You don't want to. In my 20s, I was so focused and driven about wanting to be in my band. I studied art and theater. My mom was an artist. I wanted to do all this stuff. So I was, and I had a girlfriend at the time, a long-term girlfriend. We lived together. And so she was cool and her father was a professor. So she knew like I was focused. I had to work, get off work. We'd always eat dinner, make dinner, whatever. I'd go and do a rehearsal, or I was always doing something, playing guitar, when a lot of time, like I all through the 90s, I missed, like people were watching Friends and Seinfeld and this and that. I was too busy to, shit. Jeff Jones, is that all I want to? That is all I want to do. That is all I want to do. The few minutes I'm not working, rest. Yet, see, our lives, we have been lied to or worked like a rented mule. Gosh, hey, this, and property taxes and rent and everything's so expensive nowadays. Well, that's how they control the population. And this is not a new thing. They've been doing this since the kid. How you doing, man? Kid says overstimulation is a thing. Yes, we're overstimulated. Jeff Jones, everything seems to be a chore. Yes, everything is a chore. We are, well, they again treat us like rented mules. They just they just go. Just say no. You gotta. Jeff Jones, I'm easily overwhelmed. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're doing in your life, but that's why you have to, put your foot down, and you have to realize like what makes me happy. What do I want to do? And quite honestly, that's why I'm not a true crime podcaster, because I can't handle all that darkness. There's certain people that can, it's like, it's no big deal, talk about murder and death and all this shit, which I'm fascinated by. But man, every day, that's all you do. I take my hat off to, it's not a bad, it's just me. My personal humble opinion is I can't do that. I'm kind of an empath. I pick up on things. I'll dream weird thought. I don't want that. I like to create. Granted, I haven't been creating much, but there's a lot of part of the creation process is the gestation period. It's kind of like making wine. You gotta let that shit sit for a bit. You know, when you're writing a song, it might take years to go through these experiences. When you actually create a song, it might take not that long, but you need that gestation period. You need to. I didn't understand that uh, when I was in my early 20s. I didn't know. I mean, I kind of did, but I didn't realize how I do now. And now I've already, well, I don't get the thrill of playing live like I used to. Again, a lot of the thrill is gone. A lot of stuff like art shows, what I was into, playing live, art shows, acting. Another thing about acting is when I realized I had to sit on a set like 14 hours a day and dealing with all these people and all this shit and everybody complain. I was like, what have I done? I was like, I should do something. I don't want to do this. And then you work for weeks. You might work on something and then everything's edited out. You're not even in the damn thing. You can't even find stuff online. You used to be able to like Google stuff and see me. You can't even find it. I can't find the Third Rock from the Sun stuff I was in. I can't find anything. Some of the pilots I was in. Shit. What are you gonna do? But you have to give yourself some downtime. If you're married, you have family, kids, a business, I don't know. It's tough. But you have to have that balance. Like when my schedule is right now, Monday through Friday, I get up at 5 in the morning. Where I live, I got to leave the house at 6:30 to be at work by 8. Then I have to drive on the highway and oh God, So when I get up, first thing I have to walk my dog. Then I have about a half an hour where because I have to wake up and drink my coffee. I'll watch what YouTube, my subscription, I'll see, I don't have that much time. I usually click on, no, say that, what? Then I have to get going. Pack my lunch and go. Today, I had like usually what I do at work. Today was totally different because we had like this kind of like thing going on, and it was kind of stressful. But I just got through it, just hey, whatever. Because you get in your routine, but sometimes when your routine is, and dealing with other people, because I'm dealing with a lot of personalities, and I try not to bring my personality into it. I try not to. I feel like, hey, well, see, I'm gonna say what people bring. They're narcissistic, and what I'm doing right now, you can't, it's best not to. And I'm not into clicky stuff. And again, I've never been able to. I don't like talking about people behind their backs and stuff. And the way I look at it is, if I'm in a crowd and people are talking about it behind their back, everybody's talking about people behind their back. They're not there. I'm like, well, you're doing that to me when I'm not here. I think I'm fucking dumb. I mean, I ain't saying shit to you guys. I don't say anything to because I know that. No. Kid, June 16th, Survivor's Ball in Lundell, Missouri. Come on out. What is the Survivor's Ball, and where in the fuck is Lawndale, Missouri? Did I say that right? Lawndale, Missouri. What is the Survivor's Ball? Kid. And kid, where you at? Lawndale, Missouri, perhaps? No, I'm living in St. Louis right now. Hillbilly festival type of thing. Awesome. That sounds right up my. I'm a hillbilly. I mean, you know what? You can't hide. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm a hillbilly from Tennessee. Born in the hills of Tennessee, Cherokee Nation. Matter of fact, I'm part Cherokee. That's why I can't grow hair on my face. Supposedly, I can only grow because that's my Cherokee. Oh, kid, I'm in Oklahoma. It's so, yeah. I think you know what? I think you remember. I remember you saying you were in Oklahoma. I've been in Oklahoma. My ex, she, Sayre, Oklahoma. And what's the other town? Fuck, little towns. Kid, you're on the Cherokee Rest, right? Jeff Jones, Charlie is the diamond of YouTube. I don't know about that. Since I've gotten back on YouTube these last weeks or so, I've just lost subscribers. That's it. They have a lot. They shaved a ton of views. I don't even talk about it anymore. Yeah, what it is, you know. Jeff Jones, I could listen to you forever. Perhaps. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, Nomad says, you going to go to Lawndale, kid? I seen a pic with you wearing an Eskimo Joe shirt. Did you play in Stillwater, Oklahoma at the egg? No, Eskimo Joe shirt. I used to have a lot of people would give me shirts, and I don't even know where that picture was taken. So, no, you know what? I've never played in Oklahoma. Never played. Or I don't think I have. So, kid, you're going to Lawndale, Missouri? Cool. So I'll Google what it is. The what do you call it? The Survivor's Ball. So I'm not really social anymore. Makes sense, but it tripped me out seeing those old shirts. Yeah, I used to have a huge T-shirt collection. People would give me every kind of shirt. We would. So you're playing in a band, and then other bands, you trade your shirt. We used to have like band shirts, and you get in a trade and your CD, and whatever the hell we had. And I just have every kind of shirt you can imagine. Eskimo Joe shirt. I don't even know where I got that from. I don't even know what pic you're talking about. Maybe it's on my Facebook. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I would be given like every kind of T-shirt you can imagine. Like your fans fans give you the strangest things. Bags of drugs you'll never do. Like, look, I don't want your drugs. Even when even like liquor, because I would just drink beer. Like buying these shots, they'd line them up on the stage. I'd tell them like, "Hey, man, I'm not going to take your shot." They'd still, and I'd give them out. I'd just give one. Kid, it makes sense, but it tripped me out seeing those old shirts. Yeah, the good old days. The good old days. I used to have so many cool T-shirts, and I'd give them away. People would like. Matter of fact, when I sold my Johnny Thunders guitar a couple weeks back, I threw in my vintage Johnny Thunders T-shirt that had holes in it. It's so old, and it was black at one time. Now it's gray. It's barely hanging together. And they were grateful to get it. Like, oh my God, look at that. Yeah, it's worth some bucks, too. Easily a $200 T-shirt. But they were cool people, so I thought, you know what, pass it on to the. I've worn it 1,000 times, so why not have somebody else get some mileage out of it. I told her, like, don't wash it. It might not make it through. It's just hanging by. Hanging by a thread. That's literally what. But I wish I'd have saved a lot of stuff that was either given to me or I used to collect. I sold my Johnny Thunders collection. I used to collect Johnny Thunders stuff, and I needed rent back in the day, so I sold it. I mean, I made pretty good money, but then now that stuff's worth a fortune. My first editions of my book are going for like $800 to $1,000. I don't even own one of them. I don't even own a first edition of my book. But in fact, I don't even have a copy of my book. That's another thing I might need to change about myself is I don't like having a lot of shit around. Like, I don't know. I do it and move on. I'm not like a sycophant. Like, look at me. Look, I don't have any of that around. I have my guitars, but I don't have any. I kind of regret that but even when I was like, even, like when I lived with girlfriend, we would have band posters or whatever. Or I have roommates that are like, dude, why don't you have well, you should hang that up. I was like, no, I don't want it around. They would hang it in their room. Or maybe I should have saved it all. And maybe I could have an eBay store. If anybody gives a shit, but no, I wouldn't like that. Pardon me. I don't know. I just never was. It felt cheesy to me to this day to have all this. I don't know. I just don't. I think it's dumb. Staring at me now. I've given so much stuff away too. And then when I found out, it's like that's kind of the old ancient kind of mindset. Like, don't have attachment to things. You want to have experiences. That's how I was. I guess that's hillbilly knowledge. Like, how do I get that? I move on. Just want to experience life. I don't want to worry about a house or some kind of what everybody else worries about. Or I have friends that are like, because I watch MMA, like UFC and stuff, and people like are upset that somebody lost or a football team it's like, dude, who gives a fuck? Kid says nobody ever believes the stories because there's no pictures, but you would have pulled out a camera, it wouldn't have been the same. Never have taken a picture. Never have asked somebody to take. That's another thing. This is another thing. People that don't believe certain things, they usually haven't lived any life. I'm not pointing the finger at people, and I'm not trying to like school, but because they in their mind, subconsciously, like, if I couldn't have done it, nobody can. Well, there's people that could. I never wanted to. You're never going to see a picture. Never asked anybody for an autograph. Never took a picture. None of that. And if I did meet a celebrity, I would just talk to him like a regular person. I mean, I wouldn't ever say like, and I didn't want to meet. This is another thing. I didn't want to meet. Oh, there's so much. None of that. I just happened to be in certain situations where, and there's stuff I wish I had my own server. I could tell stories about celebrities hitting on me and this, that, and the other. And, can you imagine pulling out a camera? You wouldn't be allowed where I was allowed. That's another thing. You can't fucking do that. That's why I was liked. Because I could give a fuck. I wouldn't even, even like at the Rainbow, if you're at the Rainbow in LA and you start pulling out fucking cameras, they ain't gonna. But people do, but they're kept into a certain corridor of you're not gonna see the deep regions of the. You're not going to be invited to the after party. I tell you that. And I got to a certain age, like my late 30s, I wouldn't even go to parties. I already. How many more mansion parties do I have to go to? How much more do I have to see? Wouldn't. Again, I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and then get back home and mellow out, hang out with my dog and my girlfriend or whatever. My little circle of. I've always kept my circle small. I'd have like, I just wouldn't go. And one of my nicknames is Hermit. My producer, he calls me Hermit, the Hermit, because I don't. You know how much rocking and rolling and partying I've done. You get bored with it. I don't want to go to another party. I don't want to meet so and so. I have a small group of friends. We hang out, have a beer, we cook, we this, that, done. I don't want to know those people. That's what probably held me back too. I'm kind of a loner. Always have been. I don't want to. I will go, but it's sometimes. Put it this way: in the last year, I've went to a bar maybe 3 or 4 times. Haven't went to a club. Haven't went to but nobody said on the Strip. I ran the Hollywood streets forever. You get bored. You've seen it all. I mean, literally, I don't want to get into it, but Jeff Jones, it doesn't occur to me to take pics, especially since dinosaurs like me didn't have the cell phones all my life. Yeah, and a lot of the shit I did was before cell phones or flip phones. Remember flip phones? I didn't want to fucking flip. Remember how expensive when I first got the cell phone? It was expensive. Like shit, it was like 30 cents a minute or second. I don't even know. But that's why I could. And then you attract these cool people because they're doing the same thing. I've been in places where people have everything up, gold albums, and then what if they're a musician or a celebrity, and they have all this stuff around, and it's just like, what? I'll put up my paintings. I have my paintings hanging up. Yep, I was the last one with the flip phone. You know what I've been thinking about doing? Getting a flip phone. They're selling them again. I was at Walmart, and I was like, flip phone, I can buy it. I might get, perhaps I will. Perhaps I will get a flip. I don't need all this stuff, and I'm not on the phone and the texting and the tweeting. I've never tweeted. Okay, I've never tweeted. I'm not on Instagram. People are like, oh, you'd be more. You need to. What is it? Oh yeah, hello. I know this. I could be. That's not me. I don't want. Again, I'm also. Of course, I'm doing a podcast. I'm talking about myself. I'm name dropping. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Whatever it is, I still am like a private person. I know that sounds stupid. Like, oh yeah, I don't want people knowing too much because people have known so much and this, I was dumb. I was naive to think that like you want to succeed in the arts. Well, everybody knows about you. You have to talk about all this stuff. And then you see these people that have done better than me, and they're on like some kind of talk show. And huh? What? I was in the first time I saw myself on a real big screen, like I'd done a pilot or whatever the fuck it was, and it was at UCLA. No, it was like some up and coming director at UCLA. They'd shot like a short, or maybe it was a pilot, and then we won, and then we were invited to the whole, and they had like a Q&A, and I had to stand up, and it was a huge theater. All these people stand up, and they wanted me to asking questions. Pardon me. I thought that's what I want. I was like, man, this would be cool. I didn't like it. Jeff Jones, I stay at home. I don't like to go out at all. I don't go out. Where am I going to go? I'm in my 50s. I've already went out. That's all I used to do. When I was in my bands, I lived in a club or I was at a bar or with my girlfriend, running around. Just decades of that. I missed out on watching TV. Well, for one, I don't watch TV. I don't own a TV. I watch everything online. I just, I'd rather like just converse with people. I don't talk on the phone that much. I don't text. I don't, a lot of times I don't check my phone. And then I'll hear that I got like a dee, something. I go, well, I'll check that. And then I forget about it, and then I won't. And then it's like days later, and people are like, why didn't you do that? It's like, oh man, shit. I'm ignoring you. That's just me. Again, I'm not saying this is the right way. It's just what I want to do. I don't need like maybe if I was younger, I would be. Twitter and check out my Instagram. Shit, are you kidding me? I don't like taking pictures of myself. Matter of fact, when's the last time I posted a I don't. I mean, look at me. Shit. I need to shave. I don't like to shave. And there, maybe it's because I'm older. There aren't any things that I like that are like, I like to meet other artists and be inspired by them. I don't have a jealous bone in my body. You have to be competitive to a certain, but I'm not like competitive. I keep people down. None of that, There just doesn't seem to be any cool bands or maybe it's me. I mean, people refer shit to, and I was like, what? You think they're, I know. But every once in a while I hear, and people are all up in people's shit. Like lately I'm looking for I'm in the county right now. So I'm living in St. Louis, but I'm in the county, a nice area. But I thought, well, maybe I'll move back into the city. The city is bad. Drove through my old stomping grounds and where our store used to be. It's a war zone. My old apartment, the building's still nice, but man, they boarded it up. And I drove through. Hell, guy ran out. I was at the stop sign. He ran out to my car. Give me money. I had to take off. St. Louis. Living in St. Louis. It's bad. And it was heartbreaking to my old, where I used to run around, and it ain't much, but check your cash app on your phone. Speaking of checking your phone, thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Jeff. Jeff has always supported my channel, my podcast. Bless your heart. I appreciate it, Jeff. And you're old school, Jeff. You've been with right from the start, I think. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Because I'm still thinking about, I need enough money to get my own server. I need to be off YouTube so I can kick the reel kind of thing. And then just be worried about getting sued if I. But if I talk, I have to censor myself, man. I want to tell things. I can't. And I'm not trying to snitch or dry snitch or whatever. But I hate to say this, but guys like me are disappearing. Old, haggard ass motherfuckers are gone. All right. There aren't people that like dedicated their life to the arts that like I could have, shit showered and shaved, sobered up and gone and did this and that and sold my soul basically. I just couldn't do it. I've seen so many people like, dude, they got nothing for their life's not that great. I know people that took $5,000 and it ruined their lives. Okay, $5,000. That's gonna be gone in a month, huh? You dumbass. Trying to tell him, oh, you're being negative, Charlie. You're nagging. You're the what? Can't you see? Well, nobody knows who the fuck they are. You know, you gotta lean into you gotta no. Uh Again, I realized I was young when I learned about licensing in like the 90s. Now nobody wants to deal with me because I want equity. I want to own my shit. I want to and for one, it's not a lot. It's not like it's people don't for one give a shit. But the what I do have, I don't want people to and then squeeze me out like that's what I mean. Like they there's there's all this shit. They'll come with smiling faces, give you a little bit, create a problem that someone else comes at you with. They don't think you'll know, and then they step in to solve the problem. You don't think I fucking know? You know, I've watched a mob movie or two to fuck it. That's just stupid, and people fall for it all the time. Again, nowadays, and this is the truth, to do anything right now, an actor, a musician, this, that, and the other, it's a 360 deal where they take everything. They turn you in what's called an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. Your image, your name, you're a product. Then they use you and then put a big insurance policy on your life. And then they say, come on. It's stupid. The record labels don't exist. Studios don't exist. Netflix is the biggest, huh? They don't want to deal with and they want to control everything and they itineraries and no. Jeff Jones, you're very welcome. Almost from the start. Yeah, Jeff, you're like old school and you're in Michigan. Have you ever been to like Michigan City, Michigan, or is it Michigan City, Indiana, where all the dunes are? It looks like you're in the desert. You know what I'm talking about? Because we used to play in Detroit, and I think we stayed in Ann Arbor. Like we wouldn't stay in proper Detroit. We'd stay like I think it was 40 miles away, an hour. We knew better. Fuck this. I think it was Ann Arbor. I think we played in Ann Arbor. I hated to do that because usually if you're going to do that, you're going to hit Chicago. You're not going to go to Detroit for one gig. So you do Chicago, then you hit and Detroit. I thought would be like flat, like in Illinois. No, it's just great. You know, I remember we passed that big Michelin, like that tire. There's a huge tire over near the highway there. I got jumped by some Farrakhan guys in Detroit. Yeah, good times. They warned me. They're like, do not walk around this neighborhood. I was like, well, I'd like to walk around. I like to go see the neighborhood and check out the Ann Arbor is sweet. Isn't it like a college town? I could have swore it was Ann Arbor. We always stayed like outside of Detroit, like way outside, maybe in 40 minutes, an hour. And our management told like, dude, you don't want to stay in a hotel in Detroit. And we would be sharing beds. Like we'd get a hotel room. There's like two to a bed. Sometimes like somebody would be in I swear our drummer used to sleep in the bathtub. He would bring like a pillows. And I was like, dude, you don't have to sleep in the bathtub. I'm fine, you know. And he would have like fucking sleeping bags and oh, dear God. Good heartfelt times, warm, fuzzy. University of Michigan is there. Yeah. We would I forgot the hotel, but it was a cheap hotel. And they'd see us pull up. Okay. And sometimes we had two vans and a car and full of gear and band us, and then roadies, and then a girlfriend sometimes would follow in cars or what in the van. We just pull up, pardon me, and they would give us the room closest to the office, or not let us stay. And I remember this one time, like we had a day, was it a day off or we got there early? Somehow we had some time down. And we're like, "Do you have a pool?" Like, "Yeah, we have a pool. Of course, we're dumb. We didn't go look at the pool before we got the room. We got the room, get our shorts on, go out there, and this pool was stagnant. There was uh fast food wrappers and beer cans floating in the pool. It looked all green. We're like, "What the fuck?" Of course, some of us swam in it anyways, but yeah. Um, yeah, I hated doing that drive back from Detroit to Champaign. My God, just it was, I know, huh? Again, we weren't in a tour bus. We didn't have uh Jeff, what is the town where the dunes are at? Michigan City? You know what I'm talking about? It's right outside of Chicago, like at the bottom of Michigan. And they shoot movies there and stuff. It looks like you're in this sandy, and there's the Lake Michigan or something right there. You might as well be in the desert, but it's these dunes. Yeah, Nomad 63 party pool, definitely a party pool. The Indiana Dunes, it's a thing. It's crazy, and it's hot. You're like in these dunes, like yeah, all the sand and trippy. Michigan City. That's what we would be. Yeah, we might have played there. I don't remember how I know about Michigan, but I'd stay there, and we went back. I was like, "You got to see this." I took my girlfriend. Like, we have to see these dunes. And then the water. It's a great lake there. There's up north Michigan. There's probably dunes all over Michigan, where the state prison is. So we would go. I was like, "We have to go there," and I took my girlfriend, and these dunes are really tall. Like it's just like rolling. Uh, yeah, it sits on Lake Michigan. Is that Lake Michigan? Cold, cold. These lakes. It looks like the ocean without the waves. Man, in the summer, that water was freezing. I don't know. I didn't trust it. I didn't like it. I was like something eerie about those lakes. It's like an old glacier that melted. It's still cold. Who knows? I spent my 20s driving around in a van all through the Midwest. Jeff Jones, a lot of dunes up near Traverse City. Beautiful. It is beautiful. But yeah, I spent my 20s driving around in a van, mostly in Illinois, because we're an Illinois band. But then we'd hit like Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, Indianapolis, St. Louis, just road dogging it in some kind of like old Dodge tradesman van. We had a big van. It was like an extended van, and it had a sink and closets and a refrigerator that wasn't even hooked up. And we built these lofts, so all the gear, made out of wood, and we actually had one little area you could sleep, and then we would trade. It would get so cold in the winter, I never would want to be, because of the heat wouldn't get back there, and and all the gear, you know. At first, you're like, man, the band van, and it's an adventure. Man, after a year or two of that, you see the van packed up, and you're like, God, to get in there, like the thrill is gone. I used to love to get in the van with the van. Oh my God, we all did. And then it's just like, oh no, no. Jeff Jones, yes, you want to swim, but it's almost never warm enough, right? I mean, I wouldn't even get in, like my shin high. Like water is freezing. It's blazing hot. The water is like ice cold. Lake Michigan. And I remember I walked out. It was not even that deep. I was way out there. I barely got to waist level. I don't know. There's something about it looked like the ocean without the waves, and it was weird. And there's nobody around for some reason. It's a few people. Like, where's all the people? They know. They're like, don't go. Just save your money and go to the best beaches are the Gulf of Mexico, like Florida, like the Gulf of Mexico. The other side of Florida, which is I forgot that ocean. It is different. LA too, on the West Coast. That ocean, that ain't what you think, man. Yeah, it's a different ocean. It's more powerful. The Gulf of Mexico that's where you want to be. I remember I was like went to Venice for the first time. Like I went to LA, going to Venice Beach, and we went out there and threw it on our towels and the beach and all these waves, and then you see shit out there. It's a different. What's that? Pacific Ocean out by LA on the West Coast. I don't know, but I would sharks and hunts and I don't even know. Never take your dog, Buddy Rich. Never take your dog to Yellowstone. Water is 212. Yellowstone, like you mean the Yellowstone Park? Nomad. I went to Venice Beach a few years ago and it was bad. Oh, homeless encampment. I mean, Venice used to be great. One of my favorite places to go was the boardwalk. Loved it. One of my favorite bars of all time was on the boardwalk there. And now you don't want to you get robbed or get bit by a pit bull or you know. I lived in Venice. I lived on Electric Avenue, which is like it's not even a mile from the beach. It's right off. It's not toward Lincoln is like the last main drag in LA. It's Lincoln. It's called, and then you get into the beach areas. Well, there's people that brag that they haven't passed Lincoln Avenue in like 12 years. I ain't gonna go into LA. It's like what the huh? Back in the day, if you lived in Venice, you could just walk around and there'd be people having parties and come on in. Some of the best art shows I ever did were like mansion parties in Venice. Nomad says, yeah, homeless, drugs, but then you still have the artists trying to make a living. I hear they're cleaning it up though. Let's hope so. I mean, last time it was so bad and so many homeless encampments. There was rats running around. Damn. And how could they ruin a good thing? Venice Beach used to bring in a lot of fucking money as far as like a tourist attraction. They just fuck it all up. These city council people that, fuck. It's just bullshit, man. They'll ruin it all. I mean, they have. Love living in Venice. I used to work at the Abbott's Habit, which is long gone, but it was like a legendary coffee shop on Abbott Kinney. Well, I smoked a joint with George Carlin. The best art. He had an artist loft. A lot of guys did. They had these buildings that were like, some of the best art shows I ever had, the most fun I ever had, were these like not mansion, but like modern, big, tall, douchey, rich Venice people would have art shows. Of course, you got to give them 50% or whatever, and you can hang your art, and yeah, I lived in Venice on Electric Avenue, and then things started to change in Venice. Rich people, celebrities moving in. The kid that played Frodo in Lord of the Rings, he moved like 2 houses from us. And he was cool, but he never, and I've said this before on my podcast, he never would remember my name, but he knew my dog's name. My dog's name was Possum, a dog named Possum. Oh, Possum, hey, and you are? I'm like, dude, you don't remember my fucking name? He didn't invite me to dinner parties. Never remember my name. That's another thing about, he was cool. He was so young, too. I was older than him. And I try to tell him, like, dude, you got to bring it down a notch. Like, you can't hang out on your porch. It's Venice. And he learned the hard way, I guess. He's probably not even there. Because we had it was a duplex, so the front duplex and the back. And at the time, I was living with my girlfriend, and she'd been there since like 90 or 91, and it's rent control. It was until they changed that. And so she was paying $750 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and we had a back patio, a hot tub she'd bought. Everybody else is paying like $5,000 a month. They hated us. And they moved us out. They changed the zoning and the codes just to get rid of fuckers. You can't be here, right? I say, if you're lucky, there's certain pockets in LA that are rent control. When I was in LA, not in Arcadia, the last 6 years I lived in California, I was in Arcadia, which is like San Gabriel Valley. So you get out of LA, proper Hollywood, then it's Pasadena. Right next to Pasadena is Arcadia. That was rent control. So they could only raise my rent $50 a year. And they did. Okay. And then my landlord died of COVID. And he was he was cool. Again, landlord's a landlord. But then as soon as his son took over, shit show. Little spoiled fucking nepotist. He was huge too. He looked like a fucking Viking. I mean, a big spoiled dude. And they lived in a huge place. Him and I, had some problems. He owes me fucking money. Then we $2,500. They never give me back my my last and my deposit. So when you move in, you got to pay like a first, a last, and a deposit. Now, granted, I was there for 6 years, and yes, the house might have deteriorated over 6 years, but California has some really good renting laws. And at first he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll do the yeah." And then he fucking screaming at me. We'd already made the deal. Like when I went to the house, he shook my hand. He goes, "Hey," matter of fact, he goes, "Hey, if you ever come back to California, I'll rent you another place." Because he's rich. And I couldn't believe. I go, "Dude, I can't believe that you're coming at me like this. Your father would be pissed. Don't you imagine my father?" And he died from COVID, man. The old man who he told me, he's like, "Look, I've paid off this property. Because when I moved in, it was a lot. So there was a house in the front, middle, and back. And my house was in the alley. And there was shit going on in the alley, right? And he had problems with all this stuff. When I moved in, well, I had to put the hammer down, and then it got safe again. And people, he raised the rent on the other places, let me live. And he told me, he's like, "Look, man, you're like a security guard, so you can stay here as long as you want. Hell, you're helping me out." You don't even want to know people stealing your garbage. They'll steal your garbage can, like, because it costs money. These big black, rolling. Well, they steal them and put them at their house, and the garbage come by and did not think. They don't know garbage man. He just pick it up, and then fights and people having sex in your driveway and just everything, robberies and jumping your fence and can I use your shower? It was a Chinese neighborhood, and they were. So shit happened where I had to do, lay the law down, not to be the sheriff. I'm not the fucking sheriff, but I had to, and it cleaned up. Oh, they love me. They fucking love me. From the 7-Eleven down to everywhere. They're like, and when I told them I was going to leave, they're like, "Dude, shit's about to hit the fan." And yeah. Because you have to have a real person, male, female, whoever it is. You have to have a real person to care and sweep outside. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's not even about, it's just not tough guy shit. It's just like the upkeep, fixing the fence. And I wouldn't call on my landlord, I'd fix it. If there's something in the alley, we would, and then the Chinese would come out, like, back me up. Like, hey, it turned out one of my neighbors, and he was in a huge place. Should I say that? Fuck it. He, well, no, I shouldn't say. But then him and I had some problems. And the other Chinese loved me for, like, set him straight. and just verbally, like, look, dude, hey, no, you just moved in. We've been here for years. Don't think. And he was one of the guys that stole my garbage. You don't think you're we're not going to know. And the city knew. He stole them all. He went around and like stole all these. Nobody want to say. I went up there like he had like a security gate too, so I couldn't. So I was like, look, man, give me back my garbage cans and her and them and there. And, what are you gonna do? Well, you don't want to know. Give them back. And then we all dumped the fucking. He got the. You know. Look, you want to be. I'm an artist. I don't want to deal with any kind of loggerheads. Oh, one thing I will say is his mansion was because they were building these mansions around us, and it was they built these houses in the 50s, like 3 houses on this lot, and everybody was selling. And my landlord, for some reason, didn't want. I don't know what it was. He was holding out. There's a few of them holding out, not building these big McMansions, they call them. This guy next to me moved in and turned it into a baby motel. What they do is they'll come from China, pay him like $20,000 a pop, and these rich Chinese, and then they'll stay there while they have their baby. So their baby gets an immediate, born in America, and so do they. They can get their passports and stuff, and that's how they do it. So we all knew what was going on, and all these baby mamas and pregnant and fighting, and the cops were always there. They were raiding, and not even the cops, like I don't even know what they would be, like some kind of government agency. And I don't blame him. If somebody's going to pay, you got like 8 rooms, and you can put what's 8 times 20,000 every 6 months? Shit, 9 months. I don't know. That's what he was doing, and he was an accountant. I'm going to grab a beer. I'll be right back. My goodness. In Arcadia, that there's paranormal shit that we all saw. I don't know what you would not think LA. Well, City of Angels. I mean, Arcadia is still in LA. Not only me, paranormal, and there's nowhere to hide. Like there's nowhere. It's all concrete jungle kind of. There's a big park by us, Arcadia Park, and then catty corner across was the big horse track racing. What the fuck? I forgot the name of it. But they shoot movies there too, and San Gabriel, who knows what it's called. But you would see at night walking around. Well, you had to be careful at night because the freaks come out at night, especially in LA. The freaks come out. Yeah, they do. I had a person attack me with a machete, The cops let him go. So shit. And then a couple weeks later, I was at a near my house at a stoplight, and I'm in my Mercedes, that I still have to this day. The dude just he opened my door, reached in, opened it, go. I looked in the back, and here comes the same person with the machete. And this guy was Chinese. We got him. He goes, I'm a lawyer in town. We pulled like a couple blocks away. He's like, I'm calling the cops. I was like, that's the same person that attacked me with the same said machete. They're not. He's like, oh no, they'll never. Well, I'll wait with you. He's like, can you stay with me? Yeah. And the cops show up and they're like, oh, woke. Well, see, they have their rights. He had a machete. He's still in the street. He came up to the cop car, hit the cop car, busted the light. They still didn't arrest him. Under the reason was they've sent him to so many times, and the prosecutor won't defend that. They won't even. It's just stupid. That's why it's so dangerous. It's just like, where are they? Huh? And they drop off the homeless at the park, Arcadia Park. We'd see them in a friggin' like church bus or a school bus. Give them a box with a tent in it, a box tent, and just, there you go, a food stamp card, whatever. And I'm not trying to be, I get it, but man, it would get bad. But then they weren't allowed to sleep overnight in the bus, so they would like run them off, and they would be, that's why Venice is all messed. See, the laws aren't making sense. I know they're trying to be the hard, we got to be open-minded, but not that, shit. Everything used to be so cool out there. They've ruined it, man. That's why I moved. I'm done. I got lucky that I saw the last kind of old California, if you will. That's it's not it's not what the week I left, they fired 4,000 deputy sheriffs. Huh? You're going to need some deputy sheriffs in LA. You're going to need, or they're going to go wild. And that a week later, after they fired these, they had tagged everything, even in Arcadia, which is nice. And they have their own, it was a thing. And I would talk to the, they were, it wasn't just me that was leaving. People were like tuck-tailing and running. Like, when I'm not going to, I'm not, what I have, there's nothing in it for me. My landlord died. His nepotist son is turned into, little Mussolini about, no. And it was illegal. It was a real house, okay? But the electric, something they'd stolen the meters. So when they, it's just all crooked. And I told the landlord's son, I go, that when the inspectors come, this is going to be bad for you. I don't know. You bring it. I got lawyers. Well, you better have lawyers. And then the city sided with me. Then he got all quiet. He, I could have sued his sorry ass, but I didn't. I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I told him. I said, look, give me my $2,500. Leave it be. And I didn't even find him I was like, you know what? My peace of mind is worth $2,500. Okay. My leave alone to get your sorry, because I never had to deal with his son who always lived at home at a pool house. Come on, He was older than me. And then his father would always complain. I shouldn't say much. I'm glad I didn't mention any names, but One time, I'll say one thing. One time, my sink went out. And so the landlord showed up, and he'd usually just show up. And I was like, look, man, I wouldn't call you. And he loved me about that. I was like, I wouldn't call you, but I changed the washer. It's not work. The whole faucet needs to be taken out. Can I take it off my rent? But I'm not really that good with, he's like, no, I let me do it. Don't call a plumber. And thank you for changing so I'll come in. So he brought his son. And they got in an argument in my kitchen. That he was like, "I'm trying to teach you. You're gonna if I've got something happens to me, you're gonna have to do it." And the guy's like, "Fuck you," like acting like a teenager. And the guy's older than me. Like, bro, honestly, does he still own all that? I don't know. I don't know. You would think you'd be happy and get your shit together and put on a pair of shoes instead of flip flops. I mean, I get the fucking whole California thing. And scream at me. Like, dear God, like, and I had a lease that said, like, "Look, I got this in paper. I got it on, huh? I don't own that piece of paper." Well, it's the lease, your father. I didn't do it. Yeah, because I've never talked to you. You're where were you when I signed this? Well, you weren't around. You were at what? At the pool house? What was I pay? So the 6 years that I lived in that house, I did the math. I spent $90,000 renting that shithole, which is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, made out of fucking chicken wire and balsa wood, basically, because you can't build in LA. You got to be able to shift in an earthquake, so you can't use brick or anything like that. And luckily I had a driveway. It's stupid. Just have a driveway is so much. That's peace of mind. You don't want to be parking on the street. Yeah, 90,000 in 6 years. That's how much rent I paid. Well, back in St. Louis, I could have bought a brownstone, you know. Live and learn. Perhaps I should have. Well, the fun I had though. The fun. Well, I'm out of here. What is it? 1:40. I've been out an hour, 42 minutes. Dear Lord. Yep. So I'll probably do Friday. I think I'm gonna start doing this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Perhaps. We shall see. But I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.